Hey, what's up, you guys? Jelly here. Today, we're going to take a look at a replay for one of the very few games this season that I played on the way up to champion with the Morgan deck that I didn't actually put on the stream. I was only like 3 or 4 of them. And I wish this one had been on stream. So I could kind of talk about this match while it was going on. But this match, I think, is a pretty good idea. Now, it's a general kind of accepted thing that Ryu is pretty good against Morgan. The matchup can be really rough. So it's definitely something that is not easy to do. And as we can see here, this player is already at 1784 points. Now this is December 2nd, maybe December 3rd. I'm not positive which day it was. I think it was the 2nd, and I think I got champion on the 3rd. So this is somebody who's clearly doing very well. You know, it's the 54th place. It doesn't matter because it's so early, but 1784 points when you start at 1600, and a lot of your matches are going to be giant killer matches like this one, so you aren't getting a lot of points for them, shows that he's been doing very well. He's been getting a lot of wins, and it's somebody who probably wants to get as many points as he can quickly while he has time in the beginning of the month, and then camp out a little bit on the ranked ladder, and maybe climb later if he needs to. So we're going to take a look at this match. It kind of showcases, you know, where these little mistakes in these tight matchups can really swing the tempo, or, you know, what effects they can have on the matchup, and kind of how to keep yourself from really collapsing under these mistakes. You know, how to, you know, try to recover and try to play as tight as possible to try and come back. So we'll let this run for a minute, and we'll take a look at the opening hands. So just to talk about this hand for a second, where we're starting out. So this hand is pretty good versus Ryu. Now 3.5's big thing, and its big contribution to the deck over straight 4s, is that the 3 costs give you an interesting way to curve out compared to the standard 4 cost deck. So as we can see here, you can get a max of 10 mana, and Tigrex plus a Pinger is a fantastic combo to start off. Dalsim will do 4 straight damage off his 2 growths that will trigger off a Tigrex. Or at 11 mana, if we wanted to bounce something with Beltway and play that 3 cost, it's not very difficult to get that combo off. If you immediately play your 3 cost, like Dalsim or Roots, let it sit there, and then get Remy and Beltway into it. So you actually have some really interesting opening plays with this type of hand. And you want to kind of open with these pingers if you can get them against Ryu. You know, you're kind of fighting back against his spread damage with your own, and that's kind of how to help you pace out the matchup a little better. So we'll let this run, and we're going to take a look here. We're going to start to just build up some mana, and then once we get to 10, like we said before, we're going to play Dalsim first and try to see what he does here and try to get ourselves ready to do something back. So now we're going to play Tigrex. We're going to go for that. Unfortunately, now Dalsim gets 2 separate pings, so it's a 50-50 shot we had to hit Penguin with either of those pings. Unfortunately, all 4 damage went to Rashid. So playing the Tigrex let us immediately try to do that, and it did fail. You know, we wanted to quickly just get rid of the Penguin. We didn't, which is pretty unfortunate here, but that's okay. We're going to get a little further behind, which not great in this matchup, but you're going to end up trading around a bunch of your life in this type of matchup against Ryu, so you just kind of accept that and go, okay, let's just keep moving forward and let's see what we can do. So we lose out board state control really quickly. He ends up with the 2 big creatures here, so we're just going to go, okay, let's get our mana built up. We got plenty of health to trade out, and so we're going to play some units here. So unfortunately, if you saw there, we did get that 50-50 that we kind of wanted, so we went for Beltway, got rid of Shield Penguin. That's fantastic. We didn't let him get all his growths off, and we can just say, hey, come back later, we'll deal with you later. But we got the -2 attack off, against Lagisarius, so Lagisarius is going to die to the Shadow Blade. Our unit stays at a healthy full 2/7. Guy gets played just seconds after this happens, so it does improve our Beltway shot, but it also means that we are going to take this 2 damage here, so we are only going to go up to 24 life instead of 26 by the end of this, but we do have a little bit more of a board state control now. We're going to have 2 units to his 1, so it's not necessarily a bad trade. He is about to get his Shinku off here. So we are going to deal with that, but that's not a problem. So he's going to blow up our 2/7 right away. We've already got the growth out of there, so it's not a big deal. The Mammoth is going to trade out with Beltway, but then he uses his Lagisarius and takes advantage of that. We're just going to ping around a little bit, try to make some trades happen here, and we're going to look at what goes on for a little bit here. So we're just trying to straight around here, get what we can out of it. We're using our effects the best we can. So now right here is important. We're going to play Hunk. We're going to let this happen, get that kill, get this off. So now, perfect timing for us. We got board control. We've got, him healed up. And then he's going to go and get these counters off. So now, a little unfortunate for us, we are not going to be able to save Hunk here. We would not have been able to anyway, so good to necessarily try to proc it once, stop him from using Trust amid suspicion. Now, Trust would have been the better one if he had used it second in our favor, because then we could get the draw off. But Trust means he's definitely killing Hunk, and then has Shinku to kill Lupo. He still has Shinku up. We want him to burn that. We need it to be burned right now. We want to try and get the best value we can out of this. So we do have Grizzled Veteran here. It's 3 split damage. Unfortunately for us here, all 3 goes to Hunk. Really not what we want to happen. So he gets to clear our board state without any problem here. Not great for us, but we'll put Remy in the way. We'll get back a little bit of board state control. We'll have the only unit on the field, and then we're going to start going here. So now here's going to be one of our biggest mistakes of this match. So we're at 7 mana right here. We have a good hand. What we should be doing here, since we have the time to play the 2 units, is throwing down Roots and then Antinora. That is going to be 2 ping damage from Roots onto BB Hood, and then 4 damage between the fight and the effect from Antinora. Unfortunately, we didn't make that correct play. Not a big deal. It happens. Everybody makes mistakes. But that would have changed the entire pacing here. So instead, that would have been a 2-3 Lagisarius coming forward. We would have had 2 units at 8 health instead of things like that. And then he would have had to use that Shinku earlier to try and deal with that. So we're going to use this. We're going to keep going, get our Shadow Blade in. So we've got an interesting board state where we both are in a decent spot, but we've got to start looking at what's going to happen here towards the end. We're getting really low. We've got to find the right stuff for us. And then right here is one of Ryu's biggest mistakes. So right now, Antinora has absolutely nothing against him in his lane. He has 27 health. Right now, Antinora is not a threat for him. And one big thing to remember is Purple doesn't really run buff spells. Like, yeah, there are some that it exists. There's Bioweapon Capsule, or the thing that creates Bioweapon Capsule. That's not the name of the card. There's Devil Breaker. But generally, even if we had Devil Breaker, he's got 5 damage on board. We've got 2. So using Trust amid suspicion is actually really bad for him here. And it is kind of why I always hesitate to recommend this card to people. It is kind of a catch-all. Sure, it is great at dealing 4 damage, but giving your opponent a card, especially in a situation like this, we want Antinora to get hit. Right now, Antinora will use his damage to kill either one of these units for us. So we can't do that unless he does this. Plus, we get to draw. So for 2 of his mana, we are killing one of his creatures and drawing. That's a great trade for us. So it is something that you do have to kind of be a little bit more conscious about when you're starting to play red and you are just kind of running these Trust amid suspicion. Anything that gives your opponent that extra drawback for you is something that you really need to be cautious of. So we do have a counter here, but we don't want to use it. So this is just fantastic for us. And that is going to be really relevant that we don't use this counter here, because that means we have it for later. And we draw another Antinora. So this situation is just getting better. So now we have the board state. He finally uses Shinku Hadouken. That's okay. So we need something here. So we're going to get a couple things off. Now, if you look quickly, we missed the 50-50 with Beltway. That's okay. Now, he doesn't have an Enter the Battlefield effect, the Mammoth, so it's just a plain vanilla unit at 4/3, I think. So that's not bad. What is bad is that we went to use the Shadow Blade as quickly as we could after not getting that 50-50, but Ryu was able to get that Leon in the board state in time. You can kind of see it, but I know the effect is kind of there. So just to kind of give a little bit better visual, I'll let that run through. So you see, we are not gaining health off this Shadow Blade. Shield just straight up negates all damage and just breaks a shield. So that is really unfortunate for us. We are at 9 life. We really kind of need that for life. Every little bit counts. We did break the shield, but even just letting him sit there, Beltway will not trade with Chill Penguin. He's already at 2-2, so the 3 damage from Chill Penguin's going to kill it. We didn't gain the health. We didn't kill it. So that is an unfortunate mistake for us, but it was also a great play by Ryu, not necessarily a mistake on us, because it is predicted exactly what we were going to do, and he responded quickly right before we could. Unfortunate, but we just keep moving. So now here's where this is really important, that we didn't use that negate before. We save ourselves here, and then because we are saving ourselves, he's going to immediately use the legendary to burn us. We need that 9 life so badly, so that's fantastic to us. And it's part of what really helps us win out this matchup in the long run. So we're going to start using our growth units here. We're going to get advantage of the pings. We're going to get advantage of the flight. We're going to get advantage out of our stealth halt. So we're going to build up a little mana here. We're really at the last 10 seconds. He burns his last one. We're about to get a hero art. This is where a big decision has to be made. Now, admittedly, I was slow here. You can see that I had gotten us up to 8 mana before doing anything. We have a couple plays here. So, but you have to really take the board state into context to really get the idea. So, he played Rashid. Rashid has not grown yet, so we really need to be careful of that Rashid. If we go for Beltway, Beltway can bounce any of those 3 units. We need him to bounce Rashid specifically, because if he gets the growth off, we're not going to be able to attack. So we need to have a valid target to get Shadow Blade. We have Shadow Blade available because we need that health. If we go for Tigrex, Tigrex will break shield on Chill Penguin, kill the bottom unit, not kill Rashid. He can still play something. He has 2 mana available to him, so he's not very likely to, but in that last 10 seconds that we have left, he's going to be able to get something out there, especially if we go for that Beltway play. So I opt in to the Brainwash because I want to take that Rashid option away from him. We want to just make it so we can quickly just throw Shadow Blade out, heal, and we shouldn't get touched, looking at the timer, by one last attack. So we're going to do that, and we're just going to see how it plays out here. He does kill our unit with Grizzled Veteran, which is unfortunate, and we don't get off the Shadow Blade in time on the Mammoth. Now, we should lose here, but right there, he played a unit. He was very worried that we were going to try and pop that shield and get an attack Shadow Blade off at the last second on Penguin, so he played a unit for us to Shadow Blade. Right there, that cost him the end of the match. Because right here, you'll see, no attacks landed. Being very conscious of how specific that timer is and how long it is the key. Knowing how long it takes for an attack to come across, things like that, are going to be the big difference. And it shows really easily and very straightforward right there in the last second. What not knowing these things, not taking account into these things, and making one small mistake can do. We made a couple mistakes throughout the game, but we still played as tight as we could, played as careful as we could, traded as efficiently as we could, and still came out on top just because we were patient, we waited, we made the smartest plays we could in those moments, taking everything into account that we could. So, there you have it. This, I think, was a pretty good replay overall. So tell me what you think. These are just my opinions as I went through, how I was thinking about the game. You might see some things that maybe I didn't. I'm not the best player in the world, so I'm not going to sit here and tell you that this is even the best line of play throughout the game. But I think this is a pretty good, helpful thing to hopefully show you a little bit about, some of the things you can do, some of the interactions, and just some of the lines of play with this style of deck and some of the thinking that you might want to think about for yourself if you choose to play this deck. So let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of this type of video. And, I hope you guys enjoy.